on the News Channel 5 network. This is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line. Nick Barris here, coming to you live and direct on a Tuesday after the long Labor Day weekend. If you had yesterday off, I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you had a good time over the last 3 days. And now we're back at it again. We're going to open up the phones for you. We'll take phone calls this morning as we talk about Social Security. We'll take your questions on Social Security disability, SSI, questions about the appeals process if you've been denied getting disability along that process, whether or not you think you need an attorney, and how attorneys work in terms of you don't have to put money out up front if you go that route. We can also take any questions or calls you may have about when you want to take your Social Security retirement and other general questions. But we've helped a lot of people over the years. The number up on the screen, 737-7587. Get calling because it gets busy later in the show, and he's only with us for an hour. I wish Josh Horn could stay with us all day long, but he's got stuff to do because he runs the show here in Middle Tennessee.
Morning.
Am I right?
Everyone. Good. Doing
you
well.
run the show.
Oh, yeah.
Such a friendly, nice guy, but boy, he cracks heads back there at the administration. Let's get going. Are you guys out of the hiring freeze?
We're kind of end of the year. I'm hoping that there might be a couple more hires.
You guys could always use more people.
Yeah,
you always
absolutely.
could. I mean, I'm trying to get a handle on. I don't know if the question is how many people you service in this area. You can take calls from all around, I suspect. Mm-hmm. But how many phone calls come in a day? I mean, you guys have a call bank where I know you take things. I mean,
we normally on a given day through the front doors we see about 300 or 350, and
people coming in person.
And then the phone calls are about 200, 250, somewhere between there. So.
And that's with a lot of people doing their business online.
That is a lot. More and more folks are doing business online. But you know what? There's more and more folks needing to do business.
Just in general. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are there specific reasons why maybe, and I know you advocate, do what you can online, and you're absolutely right. It's quicker, faster, and easier. But what are the specific reasons maybe you would want to physically go down to the office?
Yeah, it's a choice kind of thing with a lot of folks.
I didn't know if there's certain things you have to be there in person for.
There are a few things. Not everything's online yet. We're still working on it. For example, survivor cases. If your husband or wife passes away and you need to file for some survivor benefits, that's something that we just currently don't offer online. A lot of post-entitlement type transactions, especially with the SSI program, still have to be done either over the phone or in person, and so we're always adding things to the online services. And so it might be a good time to mention, very, very recently we've added the online replacement Social Security card. So if you just need a plain Jane replacement card because yours got lost or stolen or something like that, you're not going to make any changes, and you're an adult, you can actually go on socialsecurity.gov, sign into your My Social Security account, and get your replacement card right there rather than having to come into the office or anything like that.
Awesome. Is there anything else before we get to phone calls? Some are already coming in, but anything else you want to touch bases on?
I know September, October, a lot of folks start thinking about end of the year. Maybe I want to retire this year. A lot of folks want to retire effective with January, and one of the big questions is, well, how soon do I have to come in? Some people are really ahead of the game. It's like 6 months ahead they want to come in, and that's unfortunately that's actually too early because the systems won't even take it. And then of course some people wait until the last minute, but we usually recommend about 2 months ahead of time if possible. We can do it last minute, but sometimes there's some delays. If you come in a couple of months ahead of time, we can make sure that all the ducks are in a row, just in case there's any documentation you need to bring in, which that nowadays, most of the time your birth certificate's online, or we have record of it already these days, and so that's not even a problem hardly anymore. Sometimes there's an earnings correction that we need to make, but those are actually becoming very rare now too. But we just like folks to come in a couple months early for that.
That's great. And again, all deposits except for some older folks who have been grandfathered. Does anyone get mailed checks anymore? Anyone? Or is it all direct deposit?
It's pretty much all direct deposit. Okay. There's a couple of exceptions with people who either can't get a bank account for some reason, or just getting started. Maybe they've not had a bank account, and so there's a couple of kind of rare exceptions, but for the most part, everybody direct deposit.
Across the board, direct deposit, which makes sense. I can remember in the old days doing some stories, old days it is, gosh, I date myself, but that everyone had an idea, thieves that is, of when when Social Security checks are mailed out.
Oh, yeah.
And that they would actually watch, and sometimes they would actually steal the checks out of a box and find a way to forge them to cash them, or they would know when maybe someone is going to cash their check, follow them to the bank, maybe when they're walking out with money raw. I mean, it was that kind of stuff. And so I know some people like having a check in hand in the paper and doing it themselves. They feel more secure, but those times have changed. I think we're getting away from that.
Yeah.
And there's so many advantages to having a direct deposit. It takes that crime right out of the book.
It does. It really does. And that was when I was a claims rep years ago. That was a common occurrence. Hey, I think my check got stolen out of my box.
The 15th and the end of every month, they could know that and go check for it, right?
Yep.
So those days are done. I suppose not to say there isn't cybercrime.
Yeah, there is cybercrime, but
and scam artists still. I just wanted, before we start the calls, again, I would venture to guess maybe I get 2 or 3 calls a month or messages on my Facebook page for people saying, Nick, I got this, and they're proud of themselves because they were aware of it and knew it was bogus. But folks saying, you have to contact us and give us some information, or your Social Security check's going to stop. Someone claiming to be Social Security, and you've said time and again, that's not the way you guys do business.
No, and unfortunately, it's just more and more common where people are calling and making threats. Social Security's not going to make a threat on you, and it's just like you said, cybercrime, people scamming, trying to get you to react and respond in a way that they want you to.
The threats are what scare you. But just remember, Social Security doesn't do it. So when you hear it and someone says that, I can see a senior who's maybe a little naive and hasn't paid as much attention, gets a call, and all of a sudden is threatened or told they're going to cut it off. That scares them. That's what they fixate on. You just need to remember that is not ever the way Social Security would ever call and do that.
Yep, absolutely.
Under any circumstance. Problem is, I've done stories where people have been taken on that front, and they comply, they give the information, and their bank accounts are cleaned out.
Right.
So just don't do it. All right, listen, before we take our first break, why don't we squeeze in one real quick from Ronnie. Ronnie, good morning. Hey, Ronnie.
Hello. Good morning.
Morning.
I got 2 small questions.
Okay.
First one, are we going to get a raise this coming year? And my second question, I got a friend that's disabled. He broke his back and stuff like that, and I just want to know how he go about getting disability.
Okay.
Yeah, so great questions. First of all, the annual cost of living is usually they make that choice in November. We haven't really heard yet as to whether they're going to have one this year. Normally they do have at least some small cost of living increase, but that'll come out usually early in November. So we look forward to hearing about that. As far as your friend filing for disability, more and more folks, the best way is to go online. You can sign into your My Social Security account and file for disability right there. You can put all your doctor's information and all the details in there. But if you don't want to do it online, you can also still do it in person, make an appointment, or you can do an appointment over the phone too. So there's several different ways to do that.
Yeah, just get going on that, and just keep in mind, okay, it sounds like his friend broke his back, which sounds pretty darn serious. Now, I don't know if there's paralysis involved or not, but just getting Social Security disability, that means 100% disabled. Now, again, what does that really mean, 100%?
Well,
but I mean,
and it also has to be expected to last for a year or longer.
Or a year or longer also. It's just not a no-brainer. Now, if he's paralyzed, even is someone who maybe like him, and I'm guessing, we don't know his situation, but he broke his back. Let's say all of a sudden he is a paraplegic, paralyzed from the waist down. Does that necessarily mean that he is 100% disabled? When I can think of a lot of folks who have suffered paralysis below the waist who continue to lead productive lives and work.
Yeah.
So how do you determine whether or not someone like that, and that is a serious thing, to lose your legs, of course. I'm not minimizing that, but I know of people who have succeeded in spite of that. So how do you determine whether or not that's 100% disability?
Right. There's several things that go into the disability decision. Your age, your education, your work history, all that goes into consideration when they make a disability decision. And so in your scenario, if somebody hurts their back, at a job like where I work, the office is designed and set up for individuals with disabilities and things like paraplegia. I mean, there are wheelchair accessible areas in every inch of the
So if you're an input or someone who works on a computer or at a desk, as long as you have access. Now, I guess the key would be too, pain. Okay, you could be paralyzed. Now, if you're in constant pain,
No,
you're
that's
sitting. Now,
different,
that's
yeah.
a whole different ball game. But right, so you look at all those
But
aspects.
they look at kind of the big picture, and that's why when people get into, well, this person and my neighbor and a lot of those kind of things, a lot of times it's really apples and oranges, even though it may on the surface look the same, could be very different. You know, you take somebody who was in the same position all their entire life that required the use of their legs, you know, 100% of the time, versus somebody who's had a few different jobs and may be able to go back to doing a different type of job. You know, there's a difference when we talk about a 100% disabling condition.
That's what I meant when I said 100%, but there's wiggle room there depending on every person's situation. So, yeah, and like Josh always says, the only way to find out is to apply, so your friend should do it. Listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, Evan, Peggy, Cindy, and others, stay there. We've got lines open. We're going to take as many calls from you as we can between now and the 9 o'clock hour, trying to answer all your questions. Josh is on board. We'll be right back.
Your parents, your children. How can you be sure they'll be taken care of?